Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving into Season 19, Episode 26 of Sister Wives. And this one feels different, quieter, heavier, more final in a way that earlier episodes haven't. The previous episode was full of confrontation, pain, and deeply uncomfortable truths. But this week it's about what comes after all that. This episode doesn't give us resolutions. It gives us the weight of everything that's been said, and everything that hasn't. It starts off with a noticeably slower pace. There's a shift in the energy. No more yelling or intense discussions, just silence and reflection. Janelle's presence in this episode is especially powerful. She's not emotional in a dramatic way, but there's something about her demeanor that says she's completely drained. She's come to terms with the fact that there's nothing left to fight for. Not in her marriage, not in this version of the family. She's no longer holding out hope that Kody will change or that he'll step up in the way she always wished he would. The impact of Garrison's passing is still fresh, and it's changed her. There's a sense of finality in her scenes, like she's emotionally closed the door on Kody for good. At home, things are tense but quiet. The kids aren't really talking. The grief is lingering in the air, and Janelle is clearly carrying the emotional burden on her own. It's not just about mourning her son. It's about mourning the idea of the family she thought she had. Her household feels heavy, like a place where everything has slowed down under the weight of what's happened. There's no dramatic breakdown. Just a woman doing what she has to do, day by day, while her family quietly drifts further from the man who was supposed to be their leader. Meanwhile, Christine is shown back in Utah, and her absence from the ball. Last big family meeting is starting to make even more sense. It's clear she's intentionally keeping her distance. She's not trying to be dramatic. She's just choosing not to get pulled back into a dynamic that she feels is unhealthy. What really stands out is how firm she is in that boundary. She's focused on her kids, her grandkids, and her own peace of mind. There's a sense that she sees the bigger picture now. She knows this family may never be what it once was, and she's okay with that. There's sadness there, but also strength. She's protecting herself and her children from the emotional damage that's come from years of dysfunction and pain. Kody's segments are perhaps the most surprising. For once, he's not trying to dominate the narrative. He actually seems lost, not just sad, but deeply disoriented. He's no longer fighting or defending himself. He's just quiet. There's a lot of footage of him alone, wandering around, outside or sitting by himself. He looks like someone who's finally realizing that he pushed too far, for too long. There's a noticeable shift in how he talks about the family. He's not pretending everything can be fixed anymore. He seems to finally understand how badly he damaged those relationships, especially with his sons. It's not just about losing Garrison. It's about everything that led up to that loss, and how he missed so many chances to be present before it was too late. Robyn's presence this episode is subdued as well. She doesn't cry as much. She looks more distant, more isolated. There's this sense that she knows the family she was trying to protect no longer exists. The kids aren't visiting. The holidays are quiet. There's no laughter in the house. And even though she's still technically the one wife still with Kody, it doesn't feel like a victory. It feels like she's won a broken prize. She doesn't have a family around her. Not the big plural family she once said she wanted. She's realizing, probably more than ever, that Kody's relationships with the other wives and their children are beyond repair. And without them, what is she left with? The episode also touches on how the adult children are coping. We don't see much of them directly, but they're mentioned throughout. The feeling is that most of them have completely stepped back from the family. They're grieving, processing, and trying to move on. But they're not really interested in reconnecting with Kody. It's not out of spite. It's self-preservation. They've been hurt too many times. Garrison's death has made them more protective of themselves, more aware of just how fragile and fractured their family has become. Some are starting therapy, others are pouring their energy into their own kids or their careers. There's a deep sense of detachment that feels irreversible. By the end of the episode, the silence becomes almost overwhelming. We see these long, quiet scenes of each person going about their day. No talking, just small, ordinary moments that feel incredibly heavy. Janelle doing laundry, Christine cleaning up toys, Robyn staring out a window. Kody alone on the porch, just sitting in the dark. There's no closure here, no resolution. Just a family that has stopped pretending, and now has to face what's left. This first half of the episode really sets the tone for what's to come. It's not about rebuilding or coming together. It's about acceptance. About reckoning with the choices they've all made, and realizing that some things can't be fixed. It's clear that if this is the direction the show is going, it's going to be less about family unity and more about individual healing, and what each member chooses to do now that the illusion of togetherness is gone. As the episode moves into its second half, the tone stays somber, but something begins to shift. The silence we saw earlier gives way to moments of reckoning, not confrontations, but quiet realizations. It feels like each family member is taking stock of what's really left. There are no big family scenes this time. Everyone is living in their own world now, and that separation is more visible than ever. We see more of Janelle in this section, and while she's still carrying that heavy emotional weight, there's a subtle change in her. She's not angry anymore. She's resolute. She's functioning. Because she has to, but now she's thinking more seriously about what her life will look like going forward, without the constant stress of Kody's involvement or lack thereof. It's becoming clearer that she doesn't want to just exist in this emotional limbo anymore. She's ready to fully detach. The grief for Garrison is still there. That won't go away. But she's not going to let that pain define the rest of her life. You can tell she's beginning to think about what healing might look like. Christine's part in this episode is relatively short, but significant. She's not shown doing much, and yet her absence says everything. By not participating in any family attempts to reconnect, Christine is drawing a line. She's decided what her limits are. She wants nothing to do with the emotional chaos that keeps repeating itself. And the interesting thing is, the show doesn't frame her choice as selfish. It feels almost like survival, like she's escaped a storm and refuses to walk back into it. We see her surrounded by her children and grandchildren, which only reinforces that she's chosen to build a new family dynamic, one that is peaceful and safe, even if it means cutting off the old one. Kody, on the other hand, starts to unravel, more visibly here. The guilt is getting to him. For the first time, it's not just about his failed marriages. It's about how disconnected he became from his children. That realization is haunting him. The show doesn't tell us outright, but the way the scenes are framed, Kody sitting in silence, looking through old photos, walking alone, makes it clear that he's finally confronting his role in how everything fell apart. He's angry, but it's a different kind of anger now. It's not directed at the wives, it's inward. He doesn't know how to fix anything, and you can tell he's starting to believe that maybe he can't. Then there's Robyn. Her presence in this part of the episode is a little more complicated. She's still with Kody, but there's an emptiness there. The dynamic between them feels strained. They're not really connecting the way they used to. Robyn seems increasingly isolated, emotionally and physically. There's this moment where she talks about wanting the kids around again, wishing the family could go back to what it was, but it's clear she knows it won't. That dream is gone. And what's left is a home filled with regret and silence. She's no longer trying to hold the family together because she knows it's already gone. She's just trying to figure out how to live with the aftermath. The adult children are still largely absent, and that absence speaks volumes. This isn't just a rough patch in the family, this is a full collapse. The show subtly hints that some of the kids aren't even answering Kody's calls anymore. It's not just tension, it's avoidance. They're done. And who could blame them? They've been through years of instability, emotional neglect, and divided loyalty. Now, with the weight of Garrison's passing on top of everything, they're pulling away to protect themselves. And honestly, it feels like a healthy decision. They're setting boundaries where the adults never could. One of the most powerful themes in this part of the episode is the idea of emotional consequences. For years, the family operated on dysfunction, denial, and suppressed resentment. Now, all those feelings are right at the surface. And without the illusion of a functioning plural marriage to hide behind, everyone has to face the truth. They're not a family anymore. Not in the traditional sense. And maybe they never really were. There's also this looming question. What Now, what happens next? There's no clear answer. And that's the point. Everyone is on their own path now. Janelle is moving toward independence. So, to sum it all up, episode 26 really feels like a turning point. But not in the way fans might have hoped. It's less about healing the family and more about accepting that the family, as it once was, is gone. Each Brown is carving out their own path forward with varying degrees of peace and pain. Janelle is stepping into a new chapter of independence. Christine has firmly separated herself for her own well-being, and Kody is left alone with the consequences of his choices. Robyn's position feels more isolated than ever, holding on to a version of family that no longer exists. What's clear is that the wounds are deep, and the distance between family members is wide. The show is no longer about plural marriage dynamics or family drama in the traditional sense. It's about the aftermath, the emotional fallout, and the hard realities of broken relationships. For viewers, it's a raw and honest look at what happens when a family can't hold itself together. Moving forward, it seems likely the show will focus more on individual stories rather than family unity, highlighting personal growth, struggles, and perhaps the search for healing in fractured lives. This episode sets that tone perfectly. Quiet, reflective, and profoundly real.